Hello scholars, welcome back. Today we are going to start with Geography chapter 5, that is power resources. First of all, you should know what is power. Power is basically energy, and that energy is very important for development in human life as well as for the economic development of a country. So in this chapter we are going to study about different type of power resources which we are using in our daily life. First of all, we are going to discuss what is a power resource. A power resource is basically a form of energy. As we have discussed, it is important for the economic development of a country. Power is present in different manner like wind, sunlight, water, and the power of these natural resources can be utilized to run different types of machinery and even to produce electricity. Overall development of a nation depends on its power resources. As the population is increasing, the need of power resources is increasing. Now the people need more and more resources to fulfill their needs. So we can say that for the development of every country, it is very important to develop its power resources. So now we are going to study about types of power resources. Some important power resources which are present on the surface of earth are coal, petroleum, natural gas, solar energy, wind, water energy, etc. These power resources are generally classified into two types: conventional power resources and non-conventional power resources. So now we are going to study about these two types of resources in detail. First of all, we are going to discuss about conventional power resources. Conventional power resources are basically the resources which we are using in present since a long time. These resources are basically non-renewable resources. It means once it gets exhausted, it cannot be regained again for many years. Some of the commonly used conventional power resources are firewood, coal, petroleum, natural gas. So now we are going to discuss about every conventional power resource in detail. First of all, we are going to discuss about firewood. Firewood is generally the wood which we get from forest. 50% of the rural population depends on firewood for power resources. They use wood for cooking, to boil water, to warm up their houses in winter season. But excessive use of firewood also leads to deforestation, environmental pollution, and even greenhouse effect. So in this manner, we should say that there are certain advantages and disadvantages of every conventional power resource. So some advantages of firewood are that it is the cheapest means of power or energy, and it is available everywhere, or we can say that this is the commonly found power resource which is the cheapest mode of energy. Along with this, there are certain disadvantages too. As we have discussed, excessive use of firewood results in greenhouse effect and environmental pollution. Collection of firewood is a time consuming process, and even finally it leads to deforestation. Next, we are going to study about coal. Coal is generally formed by the burning of decayed plants, trees, grasses and leaves. Coal is even called as buried sunshine because as it is found under the surface of earth and as it gives us light, or it acts as a source of energy, that's why coal is called as a buried sunshine. Coal is found in the layers of sedimentary rocks. Coal is used as a domestic fuel as well as in industries. Coal is even used in steam engines to generate electricity, and this type of power resource is called as thermal power. But formation of coal takes millions of years. So in this manner, coal even has some advantages and disadvantages. So some advantages of coal are: coal can be easily converted to electricity and is easily and efficiently available. Some disadvantages of using coal are: coal is a polluting source of energy and its transportation is also difficult. As coal is bulky to transport, it is very difficult to transport it from one place to another. Next we are going to study about third conventional power resource, that is petroleum. The basic meaning of word petroleum is rock oil, as it is made up of two words, petra which means rock and oleum which means oil. Petroleum is generally found along the sedimentary rocks in the regions of young fold mountains or on the offshore regions or along the coastal areas. Petroleum is basically found in the crude form or raw form, and when it is taken out, after that it is sent to the refineries for refining. During the refining process, many byproducts are taken out from petrol like lubricating oil, kerosene, diesel, paraffin wax, etc. And all these byproducts are used in different manner in different type of industries like fertilizers, drug industry, cosmetic industry and so on. Due to various uses of petroleum and its byproduct, petroleum is also called as black gold. It is called so because of its color, which is black, and as it is precious and gives variety of byproducts which are used in different manner, it is considered equivalent to gold. Next we are going to study about natural gas. When petroleum is taken out from the oil fields, along with petroleum, natural gas is also emitted, and that gas is collected through a pipeline which is also used as a fuel. Natural gas is basically a eco-friendly fuel because it is a gas. It causes less pollution as compared to coal and petroleum, and it is equally used as a domestic fuel and as a fuel in the industries. Byproduct of natural gas are basically used in agricultural sectors and in different type of industries. So let us discuss about some of the advantages of petroleum and natural gas. Natural gas is easy to transport from one place to another through the help of pipelines, and it is even clearer than coal. As compared to petroleum, natural gas is cheaper and causes less pollution. On the other hand, using petroleum products causes more pollution. Byproducts of both the oil and gas are equally used as domestic fuel and in industries. Nowadays, CNG is commonly used as a fuel in vehicles. So these were some of the advantages of oil and gas. Now we will be discussing about the disadvantages of oil and gas. Some disadvantages are the pollutants which are released during the drilling of oil, that results in acid rain, and even the spilling or leakage of oil and gas can result in pollution, and even the exploration of new places for drilling oil and gas is time consuming and it is even an expensive task. So these were some of the disadvantages of using petroleum and natural gas. Next we are going to study about tidal power. Tidal power or hydroelectricity is basically the power which is generated from flowing water, or we can say falling water. The use of hydroelectricity was first developed in Norway. In this process, basically the water of a river is stored in a dam, and from that dam it is allowed to fall from a height over the turbines which are connected to a generator. When the water falls on the turbines with a high speed from a height, the turbine blade turns the generator to produce electricity. 1/4 of the energy consumption of the whole world can be managed with tidal power, and the water which is left behind after generating the electricity can be used in irrigation purposes. So now let us discuss about some advantages of tidal power. Tidal power is also basically eco-friendly and cheap, and even the water which is discharged after is used for irrigation purpose and for fishing. Certain disadvantages of tidal power are, it is very expensive because to set up a big tidal power, it takes a huge sum of money, and even it needs a huge space to set up a tidal power station. In this manner, we can say that setting up a tidal power station is spacey and is expensive. Next we are going to study about non-conventional power resources. Non-conventional power resources are basically the resources which we get from natural resources rather than fossil fuels. These resources are also called as renewable resources because these resources will never get exhausted in future. Example of non-conventional power resources are solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, nuclear energy and so on. Now we will be discussing about these non-conventional power resources in detail. First of all, we will be discussing about solar energy. Solar energy is basically the energy which we get from sun because the word solar means related to sun. In this process, the sun's rays are tapped in different type of cells to convert them into solar energy. Like any other form of energy, solar energy also needs to be converted into electricity. It can be done with the help of photovoltaic cells. Photovoltaic cells directly convert sun's heat into electricity. Solar energy is also used in different manner in the form of solar cooker, solar heaters, even in traffic lights also. Now let's discuss about some of the advantages of using solar energy. Nowadays all the countries in the world are harnessing solar energy to generate electricity and are using it in different manner. But basically the regions which lies in the torrid zone or in the tropical regions, they are having more potential to use solar energy as these are the regions which are directly getting sun's heat. The places where solar energy is used is USA, France, Japan and in India also. Next we are going to study about wind energy. Wind energy is basically the energy which is possessed by moving wind. In this process, a windmill is set up in which big wind farms are placed in an open area, basically in the coastal regions, and the wind which is blowing with a high speed rotates these wind fans and they are being connected to generators to generate electricity. In this manner, the power or energy of wind is converted into electricity which is used at homes also and even different type of industries also. The regions which are having a large number of windmills are termed as wind farms. So in this manner, windmills are used for generating electricity and are used for various purposes in agricultural and industrial sectors. Next we are going to study about tidal energy. The energy which is generated by tides or by sea waves is termed as tidal energy. This type of energy is generated basically in the coastal regions and it can be harnessed by setting up tidal mill farms. In this process, special dams are built at the narrow openings of the sea to generate tidal energy, and high quality turbines are installed into these dams to convert tidal power into tidal energy. In this manner, the power or energy of tides is used to generate electricity, which is in turn used in many of the agricultural and industrial purposes, basically in the coastal regions. Next we are going to study about nuclear power. Nuclear power or energy is basically obtained from radioactive elements by the process of fission or fusion. Fission basically means when one atom is splitted into two different atoms to generate power, and fusion means combination of two atoms to get a single atom to obtain nuclear energy. In this process basically the process of fission and fusion is done in a nuclear power plant, and along with these process nuclear energy is being generated. In this process basically radioactive elements like uranium and thorium is used. In India, thorium is found in Kerala and uranium is found in Rajasthan and Jharkhand. Next we are going to study about geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is basically the energy which is generated from inside the surface of earth. This is the actual energy of the earth. It is basically obtained from the interior heat of the earth. In this process, hot water from under the surface of earth is carried out through pipes and is being transferred to the geothermal plants to convert it into electricity. At some places, earth's heat energy comes out on the surface in the form of hot springs, and at those places, geothermal plants are being set up to convert that heat energy into electricity. This geothermal energy is basically used in commercial purposes and for domestic purposes. These hot springs are normally used by the people for cooking, for bathing and for heating. In this manner, geothermal energy is used in various purposes. Next, we are going to study about biogas. Biogas is basically a combination of methane and carbon dioxide gas. It is a gaseous fuel which is formed by converting the organic matter of dead animals, decayed plants, animal dung and kitchen waste into a fuel. In this process, the organic waste is decomposed by the action of bacteria in biogas digesters and it results in the emittance of biogas. Biogas is basically an eco-friendly and a cheap fuel. It means it is environment friendly and it is cheaper and it is used in different domestic purposes. It is the most commonly used domestic fuel, especially in rural areas. Biogas is generally used by village people in cooking, heating and lighting, and it produces a large amount of organic waste which is used in the fields as a manure. So in this manner, these were the different type of non-conventional power resources which are used nowadays. Next, we are going to study about certain advantages and disadvantages of using non-conventional power resources. First of all, advantage of using non-conventional power resources are all these resources are basically eco-friendly and cheaper as compared to the conventional power resources. These resources does not cause pollution, and as these resources are renewable, they can be regenerated or they will never get over. These resources are even safe to use, and once their plant is set up, these resources can be converted into electricity at a very low cost. These resources can be easily operated and produces a large amount of electricity. Now let us discuss some disadvantages of using these non-conventional power resources. Non-conventional resources are basically expensive to be harnessed. It means to provide a setup for using these non-conventional resources needs a huge amount of money. Even the use of these resources cause noise pollution. If we discuss about windmill, the setting up of windmill and the use of wind farms create a lot of noise. As setup of these power stations need a big area, so at times it is important to displace the human settlements from that particular area to set up the power plant. Even transport cost is higher for using these resources, as most of the power plants are set up in the outskirts of the cities. So to transport the things from one place to another is also expensive. Even the setup of windmills is dangerous for small birds and tiny animals. Even nuclear plant and biogas plant produce radioactive waste which results in greenhouse effect. In this manner, it is very harmful for our environment too. These were some of the advantages and disadvantages of non-conventional power resources. Now we are going to discuss about some ways to conserve our power resource. As we have discussed earlier, that as the population is increasing, the need of energy is also increasing day by day. So to fulfill the needs of people, we are harnessing these conventional and non-conventional power resources to its fullest. In this manner, these resources are getting depleted. So it is very important to conserve our power resources, especially conventional power resources, so that it could be made available for our future generations. So some effort should be made to conserve these resources, and these efforts are more and more non-conventional power resources should be used in place of conventional power resources to produce energy. People should reduce the consumption of energy by different projects at home. Example, people should try to insulate their houses rather than using air conditioners for cooling or heating their houses. Energy should be used in an efficient manner, basically at the domestic level. This efficient use of energy is known as energy efficiency. Or we can say that at home level or at an individual level. The energy should be consumed in a judicious manner so that it should not be wasted. Compact fluorescent light should be used to reduce the use of energy resources. Lights and fans should be switched off when not in use to reduce the wastage of energy. Passive solar building design should be used to construct the buildings because it helps in tapping sun's energy in winters and making our house warmer, and in summers it rejects solar heat, which helps in keeping our house colder. Low energy vehicles should be used, or some non-conventional power resources should be used to run the vehicles in place of petrol or diesel. In this manner, we can contribute in conserving our power resources, basically conventional power resources, so that it could be made available for our future generations. So this was all about the chapter. Before winding up, let's discuss about some of the important points related to the chapter. A particular form or source of energy is called power. Power resources are divided into two types: conventional and non-conventional power resources. Firewood, coal, tidal power, natural gas and petroleum are the examples of conventional power resources. Solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, nuclear power, biogas and geothermal energy are examples of non-conventional power resources. Coal is called as buried sunshine. Petroleum is called as black gold. The first geothermal power plant was established in Italy in 1903. First tidal power station is located in France. So this was all about the chapter. With this, we are going to wind up today's class. Good day for now. Stay home, stay safe.